you know?
Well, yeah, no, what she's saying is Zoom itself doesn't allow you to start a meeting on the 45 or on the 15. So she has to put in a time that's in half-hour increments. We'll always go by the schedule that I sent out, but that's what she was saying. So,
Okay, so it is only 30 minutes?
no, it's 45 minutes, uh,
Okay.
but it starts at 6:30, which again was my fault that I just, yeah. So
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Carly. So are we early, and how come we're here since we're early?
yeah, but you're only a few minutes early. And you know what? My high school band director taught me to be early is to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
To be on time is to be
Yes.
late. And to be late is to be left.
There we go.
That's the
Well,
wisdom of Jeff Evans.
I guess what's confusing me is that I thought you would still be with the S2s now.
Well, Sharon, yeah, you're exactly right. And I just realized as I was panicking trying to get to this meeting on time, is that in my mind, I had the wrong start time. So I literally kicked them all off 15 minutes early. So I am sending
Oh,
them an apology right now. Now, luckily, we actually got everything done I wanted to do, but that's because the way their funky dreidel is set up, they're like this, the fancy word is ostinato. They do the same thing over and over. So we actually got through it very quickly because they don't have a lot of different musical material.
okay.
So it wasn't a total disaster. It was just my stupidity.
So Carly, where are you working now?
Where am I working?
Yeah.
So on the weekends I'm working at the farmers market at the bakery, the French bakery. And then I'm working with an autist some guys who have autism. I'm working at their house with them 2 days a week.
Oh, good for you.
I'm waiting to go back to the Peace Corps, but right now there is no news. There's no movement at all in that.
Well, we're glad you're home with us safe.
Yes, thank you. And then now I get to participate in this.
I know. That's so cool.
How are
Well,
you doing?
it was so great seeing all your pictures and all those wonderful things you were doing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I know it was cut too short. It was cut way too short. Like, so I'm trying to go back, but it won't be until at least the new year, probably early next year.
Well, so will they let you go back to that where you were before?
Yeah, I'll go back to Indonesia, but maybe not the same school.
Okay.
So we'll see. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm,
Yeah?
taking care of my daddy. I'm being isolated, totally isolated because of him, because I go and see him. So, I haven't been anywhere really. I had to do curbside and do Zoom meetings. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have couple of friends that come and sit in my front yard, and then we go over to Dad's and sit in his yard to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's still doing real good. How about your mom?
Yeah, I mean, my mom works. She working in the hospital, but the hospital is like right now very safe. Everybody's being tested in the
Oh, okay.
hospital.
Yeah.
PPE is like full on PPE stuff the entire time.
Bless her heart. Well, we
It's
appreciate
hard.
people like her.
Yeah, it's hard, especially because like my mom, she's a maternity nurse, and like you have new moms coming in, and you can only have one person come with you. For a while, they weren't letting you have any visitors, so now it's one person, and it's really difficult to, you know, people want to get out of the hospital as soon as possible.
Yeah, they do. Well, I had a friend that had to go into assisted living, and of course, he was moved from one to another. And on both of them, she had to isolate for 2 weeks. So for 2 whole weeks, she was just kind of laying in bed. Nobody would come in. It was just horrible. And then she got moved to another one and had to do that all over again. So you know, nurses are in high demand right now,
I
and,
know.
they're just angels, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard situation. Anyone having to like, move into assisted living or out of it, I can only imagine because
Uh,
they have to take it really, really seriously.
they do. They
Mhm.
have to take it very seriously.
You can hear my dog barking. I'm gonna go close my
Well,
door.
in a minute, they'll ask you to mute.
Oh
They'll
yeah,
put you on mute.
Yoda, stop barking. Goodness gracious.
What kind of dog?
Yoda, come here. Yoda. He is a Chihuahua Terrier mix.
Oh,
He is
hi.
little Yoda.
So cute.
Yeah, he's a little devil. He's a watchdog. Cotton, come here. Cotton, come here. Come here. Cotton, come here. I'll show you my other dog. 1 second. Come here, baby. This is my other little baby.
Oh my gosh.
They just got baths yesterday. So
Hi, sweetie. What's his name?
her name's Cotton.
Oh, her name.
Her name's Cotton because she looks
Cotton.
like a cotton ball.
How sweet.
Yeah.
I love dogs a lot, but I don't have one right now.
Mhm.
I always keep, when my daughter goes out of town, I keep her dogs for her.
So you get some dog time.
I do. I love dogs.
Me too. I would not. I sleep with her every night. She sleeps next to me. Great company.
I would love that. You know, I love dogs way more than my husband does.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
And I would have one if he loved them like I did.
Hi, Holly.
Hey, Carly. Hey, Sharon.
I
Hi,
was just
Rob.
showing my dog.
Oh, he's adorable. Is it a girl or a boy?
It's a girl. Her
Oh,
name's
she's a girl.
He's a girl.
He's a girl. Well, she's adorable. What's her name?
Cotton, like the cotton ball.
Oh, there you go. Rob, why are you here? You're not in the, did y'all finish already?
Well, Holly,
I thought it was early.
no, I just had a total brain fart and was just certain I needed to get to this meeting at 6:15. Now, so I actually ended their sectional early by accident. Now, part of it was they really got through everything very quickly. The way their funky dreidel is set up for the soprano twos, they're kind of like this little engine that just does the same thing over and over. So we actually got through everything I wanted to do, which is probably why I just assumed it was time to move on. Because with the soprano ones, we went like right up to the last moment, you know? So yeah, no, that was entirely my fault. I just screwed that up.
I did the same thing, Holly. I checked in early because that's what Bernie said to do.
Yeah,
And there was Rob and Carly, and I went, what? I had to look at the time again, you know?
Well, yeah,
Better early than late.
we'll talk about this either in an email or on Tuesday, but I think we're also learning, because Siridwin had a little problem getting in.
Yeah.
I think we're learning that if, you know, SoCo as the host of these meetings, if we already have a meeting going, I don't think Zoom lets people into the next meeting. So folks, which is all fine because I just end one and then we start the next. But except for today when I screwed up the last sectional, it may just be the kind of thing where you log on right at the time, because otherwise Zoom may not let you in.
So, Rob, there is a function, there's a setting where the host of the meeting does not have to be in attendance for the meeting to go on.
Okay.
So there is a setting for this because my mom, it says my name is Marianne. This is my mom's account. She is the host of a few other meetings. And so given if my mom can't go or sign in, there's a way for the meeting to go on without her. So I don't know if it's possible Just so, I mean, it might be helpful if we can all maybe like practice on our own beforehand.
Oh yeah, I mean that's ideal. So yeah, so that's something to figure out. But yeah, and maybe Bernie, like she keeps this account. I just log in.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll ask her about it. If she's got any questions, I'll say, hey, Carly knows what's up. So
Yeah, I can kind of figure out if it's pretty easy. I can ask my mom what she did to fix that.
Well, this is the first one, first day. So
yeah.
learning lessons. But yeah, I've heard of that too, Carly.
Oh yeah, okay.
Hey, did you see that the pictures I posted of that while we're here and no one else is? I know Sharon did, of the place in Toledo where they had the swords.
I haven't.
That was on our tour when we went to Toledo.
Oh, awesome.
Unless you didn't make that part of it.
Oh, I did. I was there. I was there.
Yeah, you were there. We were doing sword fights and all that. Is where we sang Songbird.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, guys.
Are you in New York?
I'm in North Carolina. I will be in New York in November. My screen froze.
So we had perfect attendance for the soprano 2s. We're just missing 1 for the soprano 1s. So hopefully we'll have here what we're expecting a bunch, 11, I think. So
let me look this up. I can do that. Okay.
Bernie, just so you know, I managed to screw up the soprano 2 sectional. I ended them 15 minutes early thinking I had to rush over to this sectional. But it's okay. It's my fault. But we had a very good sectional and got things done. I think one of the reasons why I was confused is because we actually got through everything. And it's the way their piece is set up. They have so much repetition. It was
easy to
very
go
easy to get
through.
through. But I will do a better job in the future. So, well, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to focus on Funky Dreidel, and we'll touch briefly on Battle Hymn of the Republic. Let's do a couple of things to get ourselves vocalizing. Just here at the outset, go ahead and mute yourself if you haven't already, and that will keep down the kind of the noise and the delay. Let's just do a couple of things here to get ourselves going. Let's start with 5 pure vowels, each with a little hum. So ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Very simple, but 5 pure vowels. We'll do it in a descending pattern. And I think what I'd like to do is start a little higher, and then we'll go ahead and go down. So let's start right here. Here we go, together, and breathe. Bring back one that we talked about on Tuesday, and we'll start right there. So it's ni, 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 and use the end just to kind of bring it all very forward, and also as a springboard. Ni, ni, and we'll go up a few. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, and one more, and nice. So yeah, just nice and easy, up and over each time. Try not to, one thing to help, singing is all here, right? You can't manipulate things physically in the same way you can with violin bow or whatnot. But think about these things not so much vertically, but think about them horizontally. So don't think, I'm starting here, but I'm going higher and higher and higher. Think about further away. Think about more horizontally as opposed to vertically, and that may take away a little bit of the stress. Nice, good. So let's dive in with Funky Dreidel. We're going to talk about a couple of things, and we're going to do a bunch of singing. The first thing I want to mention is we've got a few Hebrew words. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, we start off here with the nes gadol, nes gadol. That first word does have a diphthong. It's got two vowels, nes. But good classical choral singing, you're going to hold the first vowel, nes gadol, nes gadol. So don't do this for me. Nes gadol. It's not that. It's not nes gadol. It's nes gadol. So you see what I'm saying? It's the same vowel for both notes. Nes gadol, and then you add it at the end. So just listen to yourself. Make sure you're not dividing it by rhythm. Nes gadol. Bad, 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 bad. Where do you say the rest of the Hebrew? No, it's somewhere. You may not ever say them. There are a couple other words, nun, gimel, shin, that kind of thing. You may not deal with that. So we'll see as we're going if we need to talk about that. So not too much Hebrew for you, which is great. One of the other items I want to talk about is finding the shape of our phrases. We'll talk about this kind of as we go through, but making sure that we aren't allowing things to be very vertical and just the same. Like for instance, on page 5, as an example, I had a little dreidel. There I've got the shape written out for you. I had a little dreidel. When you're singing on your own, you don't get the reinforcement of everyone doing it around you. So we have to create that in the virtual world. So you want to make sure in your own singing, you're really thinking about these lines. I think the last real issue is, for example, at the bottom of 6, the very last measure, going into 7. I mentioned this in my notes for this piece. When we have these little interjections, in this case, you say at the bottom of 6, you say, dreidel drop, did you win? We want those things to be excited, the kind of question a child would ask, on a morning maybe when they get to open gifts. We don't want it to be this, dreidel drop, did you win? We don't want to make the last note of it an 8th note, okay? They're all the same length. Dreidel drop, did you win? Dreidel drop, did you win? So the last 8th note is not really an 8th note. They're all the same length. Bottom of page 7 where you say, let's begin, same thing, right? You'll have a few of those throughout. Good. All right, we'll see what else comes up. Any question about that of the Hebrew before we start? By the way, you're on mute because of the delay, right? We can't sing together because it just comes out as cacophony. But please ask questions. Take yourself off mute, interrupt me. Please, please, please ask questions. Don't, don't refrain from doing that just because we're in this world.
Hey, Rob, I think I saw one area where we say HEI. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, it'll probably come in at some point. I'm sure we'll get to it. It's the same vowel as the nace, so it's hey. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's over on page. Looks like it's no. That's the same word. Sorry. But yeah, the nice thing about the word is
Page
transliteration. Hebrew has its own alphabet, right? That's not our alphabet. So when we use our alphabet to sound things out, we call it transliteration. And the nice thing is they do it consistently, so you don't have to guess as to what they're meaning. Good. All right. Well, let's go from the beginning. You and the second altos really lay down the kind of the funky sound, the funky feel. So what I'd like to do, the nice thing about Zoom, if you are ready to sing text, please sing text, right? You're not going to mess anybody up. If you're not ready for text, go ahead and do a neutral syllable, do, 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 or da, da, da. That's totally fine, right? Because you're all in your own space and you won't mess anybody up. The tempo is going to be very strict. So here is where we are. You're going to do that a bunch in this piece. So I'll give you 4 and you're in. Text or syllable, up to you. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 3. Good. Okay, so let's pause for just a moment. So here we are 6 pages in, and you've been doing the same thing, which is great. Remember, hey, this piece is purposefully a joke. This is humorous. You know, the dreidel song it's like a children's song, right? I had a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, dreidel I will play. It's that kind of a thing. So the composer is setting it in this funk style, which is, I mean, it's supposed to be funny. But that's also great because it's in this popular idiom. That's why you kind of lay down this, the fancy word is ostinato. You do the same thing over and over. So don't let that lose interest. That's the point of it, right? When you're listening to your favorite rock bands, how are songs organized? There's a lot of repetition, and that's okay. So your job is just to make sure you're not going, nay, scuttle. No, you know, hey, I'm feeling the funk. If you haven't heard the accompaniment yet, wait till you hear it. The electric bass guy is just laying it down, and the drummer was awesome. So, okay, good. All that is to say here, 5 pages in, and we haven't done anything new. Now, on page 5, you guys get to introduce the real melody. This is the pickup to 17. You are singing the real melody of the original song. This is when all the people in our Jewish audience who grew up singing this as a kid, who don't really know what's going on yet, this is where they're going to go, oh, wow, I know this song. Okay? So, here we go. Let's take a look here. So let's go through the melody. Here we are on page 5. So I'll count you off. You're in on 4. You can probably do this with text, but if you want to do syllable, that's fine. Here we go. Page 5, measure 16. 1, 2. 1. So that is the main melody. Now it's got a little bit of a funky rhythm to it. He changed especially that first phrase. But when we get there, you want to come out of the texture, okay? Notice your mezzo forte, everybody else is mezzo piano. You're the main melody. We want to hear that. And go ahead, use the shape that I gave you. I indicated right at the beginning, so back on page 5, make sure you don't accent the word had. It's not, I had it's not that. It's not funky. It's, I had a little drink. So go to the later part of the phrase. That's what all that NA means, is no accent. I think that part's pretty straightforward, so I'm going to move on for the moment. But let's go to the next thing. So at the bottom of 6, this is where you actually start to take over with some things that other parts have done before, okay? So he gives you a little more meat, a little more interest, but that's because eventually the sopranos are going to be doing some different stuff. So let's take a look here at the bottom of 6, and we're going to sing over to, the bottom of, well, he keeps going. We're going to sing for a little while. I want you to kind of see the scope and how, this new thing kind of keeps repeating. So here we are at the bottom of 6. Here we go. Let's try it again. You can be on text or a syllable. Measure 25. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a big chunk, but with the exception of like 2 measures, it was the same thing 100 times. And that's cool. That's part of that funk, right? That's part of that laying down that groove. So again, your job here is to enjoy that. I mean, you're like an instrumentalist now, right? I mean, you're saying different words, but the words aren't really the point. The point is this groove. One thing, we're going to look at that little measure that changed, but throughout this whole section, and this thing starts all the way over on page 6, what you want to make sure you're doing is giving shape. So each time you do this, the first note should be a little more emphasized. Yeah.
Oh, Carly, do you know that you've been? Yeah, I'm like laughing, Carly, because I've been hearing you all the way through, but it's cute.
What? Yeah, and yeah. So, and I was always hearing you honestly, like a second and a half behind what I was playing. If you're curious, so that's that whole Zoom thing. Yeah. So you want to think Dreidel, Dreidel, right? So the emphasis is boom, boom, and then this next phrase, legs so short and thin, my Dreidel. Give some shape. Yada da 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 yada da da yada shabada shabada.
Rob, can we go over that part?
I'm just looking on page 6, Holly. But it's really, you're going to be doing this, forever. So every one of those, just don't do this. No, it's. In fact, why don't we say, let's go to the E flat. Let's go to the E flat each time, because that's the interesting note. And then back off from it.
Whatever I'm singing doesn't sound right. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to follow the piano, but could you sing it?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, like, yeah.
That
I
might
mean,
help.
obviously, I'm down in my octave. And don't forget, you will have recordings. Kara's going to be making a recording, so you'll have your part in your own octave. But yeah, so it's going to sound like this. Dreidel, dreidel, legs so short and thin, my dreidel spinning. Tires, dreidel drop, did you win? Dreidel, dreidel, loves to dance and loves to spin. Dreidel, dreidel, let's begin, let's begin. So, a little bit of theatricality that we need. Think about you in your video, right? When you're recording, when you have those things like dreidel drop, did you win? We want to see that in your face, right? That's the excitement of a child opening gifts. Did you win? What'd you get? So make sure you're saying it like that. You're engaging like that. We don't want it to be dreidel drop, did you win? I mean, that's not, we want to be fun. So just keep that in mind. But all through this segment, get your shape of this phrase. And again, it's a subtle shape. It's not piano to forte to piano. But in the context of the dynamic, make sure you have a place you're going and your place you're coming away from. And I know none of that's new. I know you guys did that with Janie all the time.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, good.
And so any advice for how to make that E flat to E flat octave jump cleanly, or something we can do with our head space, our mouth space, since
Well,
that's...
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, most of this piece lies, you sing the C a bunch, right? But that E flat is in a different place. So the short version to your question, Kara, is you've got to know what's coming. And even though Bob Applebaum has you in this space, you're essentially here all the time. You're that A to that low C, and all of a sudden, you've just got to know what's coming. So yes, you have to prepare the space physically. You can't let the palette be all low. Let's begin. Let's begin. Now you've got the rest, so you can, you don't have to hang out there the whole time you're singing. But the biggest thing is you've got to know what's coming and just realize it's in a totally different place. I mean, all it is to say, yes, you've got to have the space prepared. You've got to know what's coming and practice it. The nice thing is, remember that the exercise we start with? Let me do it here. That whole thing. It's the same idea of using the octave, right? It's the same idea as a springboard. So use that idea. So this is at the bottom of 7, say. Use it as a springboard. So don't keep it entirely separate. It's a different space physically, but mentally, use that to help you. All through these pages, though, where you sing the same thing over and over again, just make sure you've got a nice shape. Let's look at the moment where it changes. And that was over on page 9. So here we are. Let's start at the bottom of page 9 on 43, measure 43. We'll start there. And then at the last measure, now we have something different. So let's get that into our mind. Take a listen once. Let me just play it once. Here's 43. And then we're back. It has to do with the harmony of the song. That's why it's changing. Note at the page turn, you start on this, relate the first pitch on the next page to what you just sang. So it's not a surprise. But let's start singing at 43. Again, text or syllable as you see fit. 43. 1, 2, 3. what's going on harmonically is very simple. You do it all the time in the songs that you sing. It's just because your part is so instrumental in nature, it'll catch you by surprise. So yeah, just be aware of that, circle it, and know that that's something different. Now, you do the same thing all the way over to page 13. Let's go to page 13. You have another one of these octave jumps. And now you go back to the main melody. It's slightly varied, okay? So be careful. It's not exactly what you expect. But let's start, please, at measure 63. This is the top of page 13, measure 63. That way we can get into it. So here we go. This is 63. 1, 2, 3. So it's obviously the melody, but you see how it doesn't do exactly what you expect. That's because what the sopranos are doing here is really freaking cool, okay? So harmonically, he's got to keep it static. So that's why you don't go where you expect. So just make a note of it. Just remind yourself, oh yeah, it's not exactly the melody I'm expecting. And then you finish this piece out with everything you've already done. So let's do that. Let's go back to that new melody at 65, and let's sing to the end. So here we are at 65. Let's go to the end here, see how we do. Here we go. 65. 1, 2, 3. So, by the way, the real groove, the actual groove, if you listen to the SATB version, is this. It's that whole thing, right? Which you broke up between the two parts. So you and the alto twos work together.
Hey, Rob,
Yeah, go ahead.
could you play the last measure? Because they're not the same, right? One's an E
Right.
natural and one's an E flat.
You were exactly right, yes. Yeah, and that's very important. So yeah, the last measure, the whole piece. So note, the first one's E natural, so it sounds, I'll start at 83. Here's 83, and so ya da da, ya da da, ya da da. Yeah, so be very specific. I mean, it's not hard as long as you know it's coming, you know? Great thing to notice there. So that's the entirety of this piece. You have the melody two times. You want to make sure that we, understand how to bring that out. But so much of this is a groove that you just want to lay down. If you haven't listened to the instrumental recording yet, please do. It's really cool. I think you'll really like it. We're going to send this to Bob Applebaum. And I'm certain he's never heard it with those instrumentalists, and I think he's going to love it. He actually plays in a little jazz combo. He's an old guy now. I mean, he's probably in his 70s, maybe. I can't tell, but he's still a very active musician. He's living out in California, and he'll love to hear this piece. So, any more questions about navigating the funky dreidel? We're going to go through the whole thing. But if you have any questions, ask them now. Okay. Here we go. All right. So from the beginning, I'll give you 4 and you're in. 1, 3. Yeah. So that's that whole thing in scope. Dynamics are very important. You'll note that sometimes, like when you have the melody, you're indicated louder than everyone else. But there are times when like the second altos have the melody very low and your part is indicated to be softer than theirs. It's, in the virtual world, it's hard to do all that. So just make sure that in your own voice, you're contributing a true piano, mezzo forte, forte, all of that. Even when it's just you in your bathroom or your bedroom or wherever you're recording. Don't forget about the importance of those dynamic shadings because, we want this to be as authentic as possible. So one good thing about the virtual world is it literally will require a greater individual focus, because the beauty of music making is when you're all together, you can swell in the moment, right? You can be affected by what you hear around you. And we just can't, there's no way to recreate that. I think sooner than we expect, we will have some opportunities to do some singing together. You know, the church I work at has an enormous sanctuary. 40 people in that sanctuary could each be 20 feet apart. You know, so we may have a chance where we could, those people who want to go could kind of sneak in and, you know, we could do something like that. I mean, that's, you know, it'll be a little while yet. But the point is, you know, there will be some opportunities if we want to do something like that. But for right now, we got to make sure that we're really committing to, you know, a lot of those details. So just to give you an idea, all the section leaders are producing recordings, which will be very helpful. But those recordings, by design, are being made right now, right? We've had like one rehearsal, one sectional. So there will be elements of those recordings that we will address in rehearsal and we'll do slightly differently, right? That's okay. Just, you know, you take your notes, you know what we're looking for, and you may hear something in a recording right now, go, oh, hey, wait a minute. That's different than what Rob talked about. That's okay. Go with what we talk about in sectionals. Your section leaders are going to be re-recording these things too as the actual performance date nears, okay? So, you know, you've got to bring your own approach, and just, you know, there may be little things here or there. Like Emma with the alto twos just said, hey, Rob, in Funky Dreidel, I switched a couple words. Instead of saying dance and sing, I said sing and dance. Do you want me to re-record it? And no, I don't want you to re-record it for that, you know? So that's what I'm saying. There'll be little things, but good. Any questions about this before we put it away?
I just wanted to make a note to make sure when we're coming in and holding for a whole beat versus a half beat, try and pay attention to those rhythms there.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's organized two different ways. Right on the downbeat. Yeah. So make sure you put something on the downbeat. When you sing, it's really easy, like Kara just said. So boom, 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 boom. Ba-dum, ba-dum. You know, put something in your mind, in your body, you know, tap a toe, right? I mean, something that doesn't make any noise. Yeah, you definitely want to feel that. One of the things I can tell you about funk, and remember, I'm a church musician, so, you know, I'm not real experienced in the world of funk. But this is, the eighth notes are perfectly straight, right? There's nothing about this that's swung, and it never rushes. Funk is always about being just on the back side, right? So none of it ever has to feel like it's going anywhere. That's not, the point of it is a groove. So, you know, put something on those downbeats. Don't rush to the second eighth note. When you have the melody, like that first time you do it, when you have it with that little, the little syncopation at the beginning, you know, very legato, and, you know, again, no rushing. I had a little dreidel. You know, again, that's the moment where your audience is going to perk up. Your audience is going to go, oh, wow, I know this piece. Good. Anything else about this? Great. Let's look at, in the Thanksgiving, postcard. Let's look at, no, excuse me, Veterans Day. Oh boy, you got to be kidding me. I'm using my work MacBook. No, not MacBook. I'm using my work ThinkPad, which, you know, I wouldn't make anybody have to use a ThinkPad, but it's already running out of battery, and I started these sessions with 100%.
That happens. We take a lot of bandwidth, Rob.
What'd you say?
I said, we take up a lot of bandwidth.
Okay, sorry about that. Are we back? Yeah, I decided to come into the office based on Tuesday because I realized that when I'm switching apps on my iPad, the video kept going out. So I think I'm going to be doing it like this from now on. Good. So here we are, Battle Hymn of the Republic. So just a couple of things I wanted to mention about this. Remember, this piece goes back and forth. Most of it's in 2-part, but it does pop into 3-part. And there are a couple of you who are going to be moving up. No. Yes. So just be aware of that. Don't worry. The email went out. You know who you are. But this is a moment where we want to do that. So just to give you a heads up, like on page 3 of the battle hymn, you'll at the end of the top line, you see it breaks out into 3-part. At the bottom of page 3, same thing. Page 6, top and bottom, same thing. At the very end of this piece, it breaks out first into 3-part and then into 4-part. So again, you know who you are. We've already had the emails. Don't worry about it. And if you're saying to yourself, what is Rob talking about? That's because it doesn't affect you. So you're cool.
Is the normal place to be the bottom?
Yes, yeah. The normal place to be is on that bottom staff. Good. So let's take a look, please. I want to do a couple things in this piece. On Tuesday night, we talked about the rhythm. We want to make sure that we are being very particular. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. We're thinking pa 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 pa, tika taka tiki taka tiki taka, or 1 E and a 2. However you divide your beat into 4, I don't care. I can tell you my middle school band director used the word huckleberry. Huckleberry, 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 huckleberry. I don't care what you do, but make sure it's in 4. Bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. That's the general idea of this piece. But let's look at where it's different. Let's look on page 7, please. So here on page 7, the altos have the melody, and notice these are all straight 8th notes. It's also going to be a slightly slower tempo, and it's also marked cantabile in a singing style. So this is supposed to sound different, is what I'm saying. So let's take a look at this. The notes are the rhythm you expect, but the rhythm is what's different. Here's our key. So it's going to be etc. So again, we've taken away all of those dots, right? Let's try singing this together. Again, you're going to know the melody, but let's try singing this together. Right where you come in. 1, 2. And then we're back. As you're practicing, just know that there's this, in the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea. If you know this, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, you know the words. But the composer is trying to offset this with a different sound. The sopranos have a little descant over you. It's really lovely. But this is going to be your moment, but definitely a different approach than the rest of the piece. So drawing your attention to that. Please observe punctuation. By that I mean at the bottom of page 7, when you finish up, let us live to make, oh, sorry. Okay. As he died to make men holy, let us live to make men free, while God, so take that punctuation, don't connect. Yah to make men free while, don't do that. Yah to make men free while God is. And so each time we do that, take that punctuation, okay? And I'll mention that to everyone. By the way, I meant to change a word, and I somehow managed to forget to do it. Well, heck, I can tell you. At the bottom of page 7, the word live should be die.
I'm glad you said that. That was bugging me. I was like, God, I really think this word is die.
Well, again, we're purposely singing the original text, the original published text from, the mid-19th century. Yeah, I'll send out a note, but I meant to, I'm sorry, I thought I corrected all of that. Because later on, they changed it to live. Like, that's what you see in the hymnals. But we're singing the original text that was really associated with the Civil War. So anyway, I'll send out a note on that. I'm sorry that I didn't catch that. I certainly meant to. Good. So again, I just wanted to touch on this briefly. We'll spend a lot more time on this coming up. Any questions about this? Okay. Thank you. Hopefully you thought this was productive. There was obviously a lot of singing. Hopefully that was good. I will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to shut down now so I can get to my next sectional. Okay? Bye.
Good to see you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
You're nice people.